Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our beloved lecturer, which is Dr. Raja, and my fellow friends. Today, our group will present about the first topic, which is the basis of training. Before we start our presentation, I would like to introduce my group members, which is ANIQ DANISH, MOHAMAD Aqil, MOHAMAD WAFIUDDin, MOHAMAD AYYUB, MOHAMAD ADHAM, and me myself, HALIMAH binti OTHMAN. Hello, my name is HALIMAH. Okay, for this slide, I will tell you about what is training and what is sport training. Do you know what is training? Okay, let me explain. Training is the process of learning the skills that need to do a particular job or activity. Okay, next, what is sport training? Okay, sport training is a systematic process to prepare a sport person to achieving high level performance. Okay, the basic training for the it is the basic training for the sport person or an athlete. The aim of sport training is to improve or enhance the performance of an athlete. Okay, we move to the another slide. Okay, now I will talk about the scope of training. I will define the topic to their respective meaning. Scope can be defined as the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with, or to which it is relevant, or in other words, to look carefully into something. While training can be defined as to teach or learn a particular skill or type of behavior through the practice or instruction over a period of time. So we can say that scope of training is the where the athlete and coach are focusing their view into a certain skill or specific area for the athlete to improve their performance. There are 5 main points that we need to focus on this topic, which is skill, work capacity, long period of time, interdisciplinary, and training progressively and individually graded. Okay, I will go through the point one by one. Firstly, skill. Skill is an athlete's ability to choose and perform the right technique at the right time, successfully, regularly, and with a minimum of effort. Secondly, work capacity. Okay, work capacity is the ability to tolerate a workload and recover from that workload. For an athlete to improve their performance, they must be able to do a certain threshold amount of work. They must be able to work at a level that will ensure enough stress to achieve an optimum adaptive response. Next, the long period of time. An athlete needs to train in a long period of time in order to improve their skill and work capacity. After that, the interdisciplinary. In training, we are not only focusing in one discipline. Many disciplines need to be involved, such as if an athlete want to improve their performance in marathon, they cannot only focus on physiological only, but they need to involve the other discipline like psychological and sociological. The last point means that the training program should be customized for the athlete, and the training should show some progression in order to see the improvement. So, from this definition, we can say that the purpose of the training is to improve or increase the athlete's skill and work capacity, so that the athlete can achieve the best athletic performance. However, it will take a long period of time for the athlete to improve a certain skill. Besides focusing on physiological aspect, the athlete need to focus on other aspect too, as well as psychological and sociological, so they can perform the demanding task. Coach should take note on the improvement or progressively grading the athlete performance during the training, so they can see the growth and result from the training that they have done. Okay, for this slide, I will talk about the objective of the training. To improve skill and performance, an athlete that led by the coach must meet the training objective. The training objective is the multilateral physical development, technical skill, tactical abilities, psychological factors, health maintenance, injury resistance, and theoretical knowledge. My group members will explain more detail about this objective.
Multilateral physical development provides the training foundation for success in all sports. This type of development targets the improvement of the basic biomotor abilities, such as endurance, strength, speed, flexibility, and coordination. Athletes who develop a strong foundation will be able to better tolerate sport-specific training activities and ultimately have a greater potential for athletic development. Sport-specific physical development is the development of physiological or fitness characteristics that are specific to the sport. Now, this type of training may target several specific needs of the sport, such as strength, skill, endurance, speed, and flexibility. However, many sports require a blending of key aspects of performance, such as power, muscle endurance, or speed endurance. For the technical skill, it focuses on the development of the technical skills necessary for success in the sporting activity. The ability to perfect technical skills is based upon both multilateral and sport-specific physical development. And for example, the ability to perform the iron cross in gymnastics appears to be limited by strength, one of the biomotor abilities. Ultimately, the purpose of training that targets the development of technical skills is to perfect technique and allow for the optimization of the sport-specific skills necessary for successful athletic performance. For the tactical abilities, now the development of tactical abilities is also of particular importance to the training process. Training in this area is designed to improve competitive strategies and is based upon studying the tactics of opponents. Specifically, this type of training is designed to develop strategies that take advantage of the technical and physical capabilities of the athletes so that the chances of success in competition increases.
Assalamualaikum. My name is MOHAMAD BILD, and now I would like to continue presenting about the objective of training. Psychological factors is also one of the objectives of training. Psychological preparation is required to guarantee that physical performance is maximized. This form of training has also been referred to as personality development training by some authors. Whatever term is used, the development of psychological traits such as discipline, courage, perseverance, and confidence are critical for effective athletic performance. For example, a football striker who has psychological traits such as courage and confidence will have better performance because he will always try to create chances to score and will perform less error because of his confidence. Next is health maintenance. We must take care of athlete overall health and it should be prioritized. Periodic medical examinations and proper training schedule, which includes alternating between periods of hard work and periods of regeneration or restoration, can help to preserve good health for the athletes. Injuries and illnesses necessitate special attention, and the treatment of these events is a critical issue to address during the training process. Then, injury resistance also important as the objective of training. The best method to avoid injuries is to ensure that the athlete has developed the physical ability and physiological qualities required to participate in intensive training and competition, as well as to ensure that the training is applied appropriately. The use of incorrect training methods such as excessive loading will expose athletes to get injury. It is critical to focus on multilateral physical development in young athletes since this allows for the development of biomotor capabilities that will assist reduce the risk of injury. Furthermore, fatigue management appears to be of crucial concern. When fatigue levels are high, the occurrence of injuries increases significantly. Thus, developing training strategies that address fatigue should be prioritized. The last objective of training is theoretical knowledge. Athletes should get a better understanding of physiological and psychological foundations of training, planning, nutrition, and regeneration through training. It is critical for the athlete to comprehend why specific training exercises are carried out. This can be achieved by requiring the athlete to attend training seminars and conferences, or by discussing the training objective specified for each component of the training plan. By doing this, athlete will approach the training process with a strong focus and allow the coach and athlete to create more specific training objective. That's all from me. Now I would like to pass to the next presenter to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the previous presenter. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Aqil bin Zulkhairi. Now I would like to explain to you about training adaptations. The volume, intensity, and frequency of exercise sessions are three most important components of any training program. These training impulses govern the number of adaptive reactions that either increase fitness or reduce fatigue exercise capability by Hawley 2002. Next, adaptation is sum of transformations by systematic repetition exercise. An effective training program will show great results to a person. This is based on the frequency of a systematic training and good discipline so that it has a positive effect on the athlete. Subsequently, specific activity will affect changes on structural and physiological as a specific demand on the body. This is specificity of a training is required to have a desired impact on a person. This is due to the fact that the impact will vary depending on the demand suits to the body. The reaction adaptations for training differs depending on what kind of training. A long-held assumption is that training response or adaptations is directly proportional to the amount of exercise performed by Fitz et al. 1975. Nevertheless, the benefits of physical activity will be occurred only if it forces the body to adapt to the stress of physical effort. One of the key tenets of exercise physiology is the principle of training specificity, which hold the training responses or adaptations are tightly coupled to the mode, frequency, and duration of exercise performed by J. A. Hawley 2002. As you can see here, there are three different graphs according to the level of stimulus training. Let's look at the first graph. It shows that when the stimulus increase and the adaptation will occur, then the performance will also increase parallelly. Next, we look at the graph B. When the stimulus decrease, then the adaptations level will be at the plateau level, which is flat. Then the performance will decrease. Finally, when the stimulus is excessive, then maladaptation will occur and performance will decline. This graph is referred to Bompa in 1999. The vast majority of training-induced adaptations occur only in those muscle fibers that have been recruited during the exercise regimen, with little or no adaptive changes occurring in untrained musculature, by John A. Hawley in 2008. Now, we move to the next slide. Stress is an event, experience, or activity that alters our homeostasis conditions, which is our stable state. It can be positive and negative, which we call distress and eustress. Distress is something that can cause too much pressure and it makes someone cannot cope with a stressor. Stressor is a stress stimulus that can add up over your lifetime, while distress is about a positive stress, which is can help you and to reach the goals and make the person feels in control. That is why positive stress is important to the athletes that can keep their mental state at the control level. In designing a training program, the limitations of an athlete must be taken into account so that the frequency and intensity of the training does not exceed their limits. It will cause overtraining. Overtraining syndrome is characterized by diminished sport-specific physical performance, accelerated fatigability, and subjective symptoms of stress by Hussein et al. 1995. So this is about overcompensation cycle. There are four phases that are contained in this cycle. The first is fatigue, the second is recovery, and the third is overcompensations. And lastly is involutions. As we can see at the slide, this shows how coach can help you stress your body into getting fitter by pushing you beyond your limits in a controlled way. After training, the body experiences fatigue. Fatigue is a first phase that occurs during the rest periods within 1 to 2 hours. As soon as training is terminated, the compensation rest phase begins, which is recovery phase. If phase occurs, the biochemical will be replenished exceed the normal level. Thirdly is overcompensations. This phase of training is marked by a rebounding of overcompensations of performance, which is body will compensate fully. It followed by a rebounding or overcompensation phase and higher adaptation occurs and duplicated by functional increase of athletic efficiency. Lastly, in involution, it is occurring when another stimulus not applied at the optimal time. The benefits of training will reduce in phase because of the reversibility, which is one of the principles of the training. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for the previous presenter. My name is MOHAMAD ROSLAN and I would like to continue our presentation today with SAID principles. The SAID principle, which stands for Specific Adaptation to Imposed Demand, is one of the most important intellectual notions in sports science. It serves as the basis for sport-specific training. In reaction to certain kinds of stimuli, the human body has been shown to adapt well over time. It means that when the body is stressed out, it begins to adapt in order to increase its long-term capacity to withstand stress. The adaptation process is not caused by a single mechanism. Rather, it is a general propensity of the organism that is shown in different processes. While it's almost difficult to understand all of these different processes when designing a training program, the basic SAID concept is pretty simple to understand or to remember, which is it implies that the body is always striving to improve at basically what it has been practiced at in order to fulfill the demands of their particular sport. An athlete must design a training program. Athletes' unique adaptations are linked to the quality and specificity of the aerobic and anaerobic stimulus used in their training regime. Optimal adaptations are the result of detailed design implementation and execution of conditioning and strength training programs. To make it short, when the body is exposed to certain target of degrees of stress and overload, the concept states that it will progressively adapt over time to meet the demands that are imposed or proposed on it. There will be no adaptation if the stress is insufficient to test the body. If the stress is too much to bear, injuries or overtraining might be occur. Alright guys, we are going to continue with the adaptation responses. Adaptation is a wide word that refers to monumental changes in an athlete's life. They are exposed to stress in training programs throughout their lives, and at some point of time, that stress reach a tipping point, which is some point or something must be made to relieve the stress and restore physiological responses. For instance, okay, let's say when an athlete absorbs the essential knowledge about long-term adaptations to exercise training, they can manage themselves on how they will be doing right after training period. Adaptations can be divided into these three subcategories. Not three, but many more. But this is the one of the subcategories that I have listed here. Okay. For the first one is skeletal muscle and bone adaptation. Second one is metabolic adaptation, and the last one is cardiovascular and respiratory adaptation. All of these are the essential adaptations towards reaching the full potential of an athlete. Alright, to summarize it all, or to narrow things down, we can specifically say that the most crucial thing in sport itself are the movements and the skill sets that have to be performed during the games. For example, athletes that have been well trained have a quicker reaction time and can adjust more quickly throughout the game. The amount of time it takes to reach a high level of adaptation is determined by the complexities of the skill as well as the physiological and psychological difficulties of the event or the mastery of the skills. The longer the training period needed for complicated and demanding of the skills, the more complex and difficult for the neuromuscular and the functional to adapt in the long term.
Thank you, Muhammad Ayub. So for my part, I would explain about the classification of skills. So many ways have been suggested as methods for classifying physical activity skills. So aside from the traditional method of classifying sport activities into individual sports such as track and field, gymnastics, boxing, and not to forget the team sports such as football, basketball, volleyball, and rugby. Widely accepted classification uses biomotor abilities as a criterion. Alright, so biomotor abilities include strength, speed, endurance, and coordination. So while classifying sport by biomotor abilities is very useful, other methods are also used by the coach. So one popular method is to classify sporting skill as either cyclic, acyclic, or acyclic combined. Alright. For cyclic skills are used in sports such as walking, running, cross country, skiing, and etc. So the main characteristic of this sport is that the motor act involves repetitive movement. So once the athlete learns one cycle of the motor act, they can duplicate it continually for a long period. For example, the four phases of rowing stroke, the catch, drive through the water, finish, and recovery are part of a whole. Okay, so the athlete perform them over and over in the same succession during the cyclic motion of the rowing. So each cycle the athlete perform is linked. It is proceed and followed by another one. So it will be a repetitive movement for cyclic skills. Acyclic skills shows up in sports such as shooting, putting, discus throwing, most gymnastics, team sport, wrestling, boxing, and fencing. So these skills consist of integral functions performed in one action. For instance, the skills of discus throwing incorporates the preliminary swing, transition, turn, delivery, and reverse step, but the athlete perform them all in one action. Okay, so when cyclic and acyclic are combined, it will be a cyclic combined skills and known as a cyclic combined skills. Okay, so consists of the cyclic movement following by the cyclic movement. Sports such as figure skating, diving, jumping events in track and field will use these combined skills. Although all action are linked, we can easily distinguish between the acyclic and the cyclic movement. For instance, we can distinguish the acyclic movement of a high jumper or vaulter from the preceding cyclic approach of running. So, the coach's comprehension of this skill classification plays an important role in the selection of appropriate teaching method. So, generally, teaching the skill as the whole appears to be effective with cyclic skills, while breaking the skill into smaller pieces appears to be more effective with acyclic skills. Next, I will explain about system of training. So, a system. What is system? A system is a collection of ideas, belief, or speculation that is ordered and methodologically organized. A system should have both accumulate experience and research findings that have been put into practice. A sport system should include physical education and sport organization of a nation, considering school programs, recreation and sport clubs, the organizational structure of sport government bodies, and the system of athletic training. A system should not be imported, although it may be beneficial to study or other system before developing one. Furthermore, it's creating or developing a better system. You must consider a country's social and cultural background. So, such as Bordechuk suggested that a system of training is constructed by observing three basic principles. Like first, uncovering the system from forming factors. Second, determining the system structure. And third, validating the efficiency or effects of the system. Like I've mentioned, the first one, it will be uncovering the system forming factors. Factors that are central to the development of training system can stem from general knowledge about the theory and methods of the training, scientific findings, experience of the nation's best coaches, and the approaches used by other countries. Then the second one, we can use the determining the system structure. So, alright then. Once the factors central to the success of the training system are established, the actual training system can be constructed. So, a model from both short and long-term training should be created. The system should be able to be applied by all coaches, but it should also be flexible enough that coaches can enrich the system structure based upon their own experience. Validating the efficiency of the system is the last one that I mentioned. So, once a training system is initiated, it should be consistently evaluated. So, the evaluation of the efficiency of the training system can be undertaken in a multi-dimensional manner. The most simplistic assessments used to validate a training system are the actual performance improvement achieved in response to the system. So, more complex assessment can also be used, including direct measurement of physiological adaptation, such as hormonal or cell signaling adaptation. So, additionally, mechanical assessment can be quantified to determine if the training structure is working effectively. So, I can give example, include the evaluation of maximal anaerobic power, maximal aerobic power, maximal force generating capacity, and peak rate of force development. So sport scientists can play very important role in this capacity using their expertise to evaluate the athlete and provide insight into how effective training system is. So direct factors include those related to both training and evaluation. So while supportive factors are related to administration and economic condition and to professional and living style, although each factors in the overall system plays a role in the success of the system, it appears that the direct factors are most significant. So the importance of the direct factors further strengthens the argument that the sport scientist is an important contributor to the development of quality training system. So the development of a quality training system is essential to the optimization of the performance. Training quality does not solely depend upon the coach, but upon the interaction of many factors that can impact that athlete's performance. Hence, all factors could affect the quality of training need to be effectively implemented and consistent, evaluated when necessary, and adjusted to meet the ever-changing demands of modern athletics. Alright guys, so that's all for from our group. So thank you. Don't forget, stay safe and stay at home guys.